Thank you, everybody. And it's our second year sponsoring this conference, so we're super excited to be back here. And we'll get started. About 20 minutes of content for you guys. Get going. So the hopeful takeaways from this presentation today are, first, that we built something pretty insane in the last 18 months. We've been a private company that went public. We have tens of thousands of GPUs globally today in our data centers. We're working with angel to seed to Series A, B, C, even in enterprises today, scaling their foundational models to AI agents that are out there. And so if you are sitting in the audience today, whether you are a startup or someone who's got an idea, we have an official NVIDIA Inception program for startups. So we have credit available. So as mentioned, if you do need GPU credit, we have an application process there, and we can service you there. If you have a current contract, obviously, with another GPU provider, we can figure out how to add value to your operations today. And then, so what where we come from is a pretty wild story too, and I'll get into that as well. Not many companies have kind of had our launch in the last 18 months, which is pretty wild. And then, as I mentioned, I didn't know there wouldn't be Q&A here today, but if you want to ask some questions right afterwards, you'll find our booth in the main hall here. So if you have questions about our data centers, GPUs, or any model questions you might have, please reach out to our team outside in the hall. So first, obviously, AI is nuts, especially within this region of the world. It's what everyone's talking about. You can just type in AI funding into Google, and you'll see how many of these companies are getting funded. It seems like there's some every few minutes at the moment. And so I think what we'll do is kind of explain how we fit into that picture and how we can add value to what you're doing. So first, we came from Yandex. And if anyone knows what that is, we were the Google of Russia. So think about Google, the same businesses, search, Uber, Maps, all that. And it was a pretty thriving, $30 billion market cap business. And then all of a sudden, a war started. And a group of our employees, about 2,000 very brave souls, decided that that was not something that they were going to support. Our founders didn't want to support that. And we started the process to kind of move that business away. And there was a settlement, and that's how Nebius was born. But it tells a lot about the people who are at our company who, in some cases, haven't seen their families in over a year and a half and decided to take this great journey to have a world of innovation, a world of freedom that they could have. And so it's a real story, and it's very unique that's out there today. And then that brings us into, obviously, who is Nebius today? So we are a global GPU infrastructure provider with tens of thousands and growing of GPUs that are out there. We are publicly traded, as I mentioned. I won't give away any secret information today that won't be coming out in a few months. But NVIDIA is a lead investor in Nebius. So that's, there's about 100 NCPs today, which are cloud hosting providers for GPUs. And to be one of the ones that NVIDIA invest in is a really cool hat tip to the industry. But that's where we're going in the future. We're going to have Blackwells and other iterations. We're a full stack platform, so we have all the software. We're not bare metal. So if you're used to that AWS-like, Azure, GCP-like virtualized platform, that's Nebius, but with only NVIDIA GPUs. And we'll get it started. And that, as mentioned, some of the hottest foundational models to enterprises were the kind of cloud, their plumbing, so to speak, the infrastructure, which we think is sexy, behind the foundational models that you guys are using today on your phones or at home on your laptops. To get it started, why did we create this company? Before the war happened in Russia, Yandex was actually the third highest GPU using company for NVIDIA of GPUs. And so we had a really base knowledge of how to, at scale, be able to integrate software, hardware into our platform. And so, and then the data centers and knowing how to build and operate these things today. And we'll get into our data center map in a minute. But bringing all these things together is how we really birthed Nebius over the last really 16 months. And so, again, what we put together is not normal within the space. A lot of times, for example, someone will get 500 nodes of GPUs. We're launching clusters that are in the thousands. And so that is the expertise and the drive that we're scaling at and operating at. And our GPU fleet today is about 10,000 H100s that are in production. There are still people out there that want A100s, I know, but this is pretty much the lineup that we have today. So if you don't believe that there's that much memory difference between an H100 and an H200, we're there for you on the H100s. Our H200 clusters arrived this year in our both Finland, Paris, Iceland, and this week, Kansas, USA. So it was excited for us to actually launch in the US. We're not just a European GPU provider, but we actually have GPUs now in Kansas, which is pretty amazing. And then the Blackwells will arrive this summer. That'll be the B200. And then later in the fall, the GB200 will be in production at our New Jersey data center. But this is our line card of GPUs that we have both for startups and enterprises down to anyone who's looking to scale an AI idea that they have. This is a map, a little bit of kind of our data centers around the globe today. As I mentioned, we started in Finland. This was a Yandex data center. That's one of the most sustainable, 16th largest supercomputer in the world. That is in Finland. All the towns that surround that data center actually get their power from the data center because it's so efficient. And we'll talk about that in a few slides. We opened up our Amsterdam HQ. Where did all our amazing colleagues go when they left? It was a pretty wild story, but they ended up in Amsterdam. And Amsterdam was pretty smart. There was over 500 software developers that came out of Yandex, and they're like, we want them. And that's where our headquarters is today in Amsterdam. And then we opened up Paris, Iceland, and then the 2 US data centers. The Kansas is operational this week, and then the New Jersey will be again for the GB200. That will be there. And so we're going to start to obviously look in the Western US eventually to get there. But today, if you're training a model, you don't really need to be within a geographic footprint. Inference is very different. Obviously, you want to monetize your AI idea. You have to get it closer to the user. And so that's where the reasons why we've opened up these data centers in the places that we have. We have plans for Asia down the line and other things, but this is our core map. And as I mentioned earlier, between the software developers, the data center expertise, it really pulled all this together, this company, within months. And so, in fact, we had to rewrite our entire platform to get recertified to be a publicly traded company again. So when you go through the process with NASDAQ, it could be like a black light on your soul a little bit, but we were able to confirm that very clean operations, everything is sound, and rewrite our entire platform for clients to be able to use. So today, for anyone in the audience today, if you want some promo code, we can give that to you. So if you want to spin up an H100 VM, please reach out to us, and we'd love to be able to make that happen for you. And again, we are, of course, publicly traded and an NVIDIA reference partner, which matters within this space. And these are just a few of the clients that we have today. We have NVIDIA themselves, which is a client today that we don't publicly usually talk about, or maybe I just did. But it's exciting, again, to have them on the platform, helping us be better every single day. And then we have all the way down to Stanford lab graduates that are out there wanting to train their idea that they have. And we love to be the innovation and the brains and the compute behind those ideas that are there. And so whether you're, again, it doesn't matter how small of a startup. One of our clients that signed this year are actually 2 existing Stanford University students. So they're still there in classes, yet they raised money, and the GPUs that funds their business is a company called Tilde AI. And so it's pretty cool to see the wide variety. We have the startup program that I mentioned, the university program we have if you need to get credits. So please reach out, go to Nebius.com. We have forums out there if that is of interest to you guys. So first, it's worth noting in the space, buyers of GPUs are pretty savvy, right? There's used to be 2 assurances in life, death and taxes. And the third is that everyone's out there shopping price for GPUs. And I don't blame them for doing that. It is incredibly expensive. They say for a AI startup, the GPUs are either 1 or payroll is 2 in terms of expenses for your business that you have out there. So they're going to negotiate on price. And so in this industry that we're talking about, which is really only 3 years old, I often will interview people and they'll be like, I have 10 years of AI experience. And I'm like, well, I don't think that was a thing 10 years ago. But So what we're trying to do is move on from just the price and capacity. And when you're selling the same thing, the same bare metal GPU server, it becomes a race to the bottom. It's a commodity at that point, unless you have managed services and software above the GPUs, which is what we're most proud of within our business. And as I mentioned, all the pricing is on our websites. We have on-demand. So if you're somebody who says, I don't want to put down a down payment at the moment for GPUs, we have the ability for you to start out with no commitment with us. And so you can do true hyperscaler-alike on-demand, and we can raise your quota as you need it there. And obviously, that's going to be a little bit more expensive per hour versus a reserved model where you're committing to a certain amount of time that's out there. And so reach out to the team you'll see in the hallway today, and we will hook you guys up with either promo credit or an ability to do a POC on the platform. Moving into platform and flexibility, which I'll get into right now, it used to be in this world where if you were only selling bare metal, somebody would hand you your bare metal through SSH keys and IP addresses, and you would have to go out and buy all the different software solutions that are out there. And so what we did is we have put that on top of our GPUs, the same solutions you would have to go out and buy like 5 or 6 vendors, and they're all software as a service. You now have that included on top of NVIDIA GPUs. Oh, and here's the kicker, we're not charging for it. So that's all free. There's probably $4 an hour worth of software or more that is included on top of what we're about to show you. And the most important thing is we build it, we own it, we support it. The only thing that is NVIDIA reference architecture is the actual motherboard of GPUs that belong in the server, the 8 cards. We build everything else around it, and that makes us more efficient. We're not buying from the likes of the large, amazing also hardware providers like Dell, HP, and those guys. We do it ourselves. We're our own VAR in a way, and that means that we can have more margin. We can pass that back to clients through pricing breaks, and so that's how we go to model. And as I mentioned, this is just shots of our data centers that are out there. It used to be that I remember the 2 neoclouds that I worked at before, we would wait 4 or 5 months to be able to get 256 GPUs, 32 servers to come to our data center. And now we can roll out thousands within months. And so it talks about the scale and about how efficient we are at deploying GPUs. And this is our platform real quick, which I'll get into. Obviously, there's the actual InfiniBand network, the speed, the GPUs at the bottom, and then everything else is products that we offer today, storage. With the foundational model, you cannot have a conversation about training a model without having a storage conversation. So that is included as well as a price that we have our own storage. And then we have industry-leading partnerships with the likes of VAST, Weka, DDN, and other providers that are out there. We have Kubernetes. We have a Slurm operator that goes on top of our GPUs. So if you're used to having these tools that you have to go out and buy in a bare metal environment, let's talk, because we could probably reduce your cost that you have at the moment in operations that are there. And as I mentioned, you can go out there and promo this at our website. You can create a virtual machine, quickly add a region to it, a VPC, network, storage, what have you, and again, just operate within that environment. This really isn't possible in the bare metal world. When you buy GPU bare metal, they kind of hand you that bare metal, and then you have to operate at that point. With about 7 or 8, 9 clicks of a mouse, you can be able to be training something or doing inference or fine-tuning or whatever your use case is at that point. And as I mentioned, you can actually dive into the actual, a lot of times what happens is these supercomputers run really hot and they break all the time. Our ability to have a virtualized fault tolerance platform allows us to be able to replace that card very quickly, that node that has busted, and get you back to monetizing and training your idea or thing. And as I mentioned earlier, this gives you an idea of kind of a little bit of the software that we have here. Within the industry right now, in terms of schedulers, people are primarily using Kubernetes in terms of containerizing their workloads and calling them up, or they're using Slurm in the bare metal environment. We combined those two things together into our own software product, which is free, by the way, out of the platform. And it just literally every single thing that if you ask anybody who runs a GPU network today, these are the very, very difficult things about running it and orchestrating it and making that happen. And that's what we did with one of our products, which you'll be able to use that's out there. As efficiencies I mentioned earlier, this is the Finland data center that's out there. This is what came over from Yandex, and it is one of the most efficient. We're building a twin version of this data center across the street, and it literally heats 2,500 homes all around the local area there. And there aren't many data centers that can do that, especially we're having kind of a data center issue within the US here of space and power. And what we have here at the moment is pretty special, and some model we'll be using at our other data centers. And as I mentioned earlier, the software, we have an AI inference studio product. If you're looking to get out to the models like DeepSeek, Llama, it could be Mistral out there, we have connections to go from. So once you trained your idea, and if you need model connections, that software is already built into our platform as well. You don't have to have two separate platforms. The models are on top of our managed services and GPUs that are available for you to be able to use. There we go. And so the three things I would just leave with you guys again, obviously we have a ton of GPUs, that's already been said. We have a full stack platform that's out there that's waiting to help you train your idea, that's there. And if you have any questions you wanted to ask during the session, because we didn't have a Q&A session, come outside to the booth that's out there in the hall, ask your questions. I'm Shane at Nebius.com. It's like the easiest email address that I just gave out ever at a show. And reach out and talk to us, and we'll talk anything AI, training your idea, startup credits, and we're here to help you, the community, be successful in this space. Cool. All right, thank you guys. Thank you. And I finished early, so that's the way to.